Welcome to part 31 of the Basic Training Booster Pass Edition. Today we're going to cover everything you need to know to play WALUIGI Stadium on 150cc. The recommended build for this course is going to be Yoshi, Bitty Buggy, Rollers, and Paper Glider. When the run begins, start at right drift so that you can get good alignment before tricking off the first ramp. After that, we're going to do a couple of mini turbo tricks off the tops of the next two ramps, followed by another drift trick off the final ramp. Note that we don't really want to build up a mini turbo here because it's going to make us fly too far to the outside of this turn. We just want the drift for alignment purposes. The next ramp strat is weird. Basically what we want to do is trick off the first ramp and land in a wide left drift off the second ramp. We're going to hit the orange boost pads on the ground, and then as soon as we go off the ground, release the mini turbo, hold right on the joystick, and press the jump button. This technique is called an air hop, and we're about to see a hell of a lot more of it, but to briefly explain what's going on here, we want good alignment when going through the mushroom shortcut, and we have more than enough room to mini turbo trick. The problem is that if we do mini turbo trick, the mini turbo gets cannibalized by the orange boost pads. But if we time the mini turbo out in such a way that it gets released as the orange boost pad boost is running out, it kind of acts like a mini turbo trick in that it pushes us really far. If you release the mini turbo too late, you'll notice that you land way further back on the track. Anyways, when taking the mushroom cut, make sure to hit this red tire so that you can get the coin hidden inside. If you're running the track without mushrooms, you want to do a slightly different setup where you trick off the first ramp and then land in a wide left drift off the second ramp like before. But this time, once you get in midair, you want to hold a hard left so that you can build up an ultra mini turbo by the time you land. If you look closely, you'll see that to the left of the mushroom cut, there's this little strip of track that you can actually drive on. The basic idea is to drive straight towards it after releasing the Ultra Mini Turbo, and then just before the track starts to turn, do a left hop so that you can stay on that part of the track. It's really weird and kind of finicky, but you should be able to get it without too many problems. Now, no matter how you got through the cut, once you're on the other side, prepare for pain. Remember how I said that we're about to see a hell of a lot more of the air hop? That's basically what's happening here. The key benefit to the air hop is that it allows you to realign yourself in mid-air, and this is crucial for getting as many tricks off the half pipe as possible. You want to approach the half pipe as close to parallel as possible, and then after getting in mid-air, hold left on the joystick and press the jump button to do a left air hop. If you watch closely, you'll see that I'm constantly turning as soon as I get in mid-air, and what this does is put you at an angle to where you immediately start moving back to the top of the half pipe ramp. If you're really sick nasty at this like the world record, then it's possible to get 5 boosts off of this thing, but you have to do this ridiculous strategy where you use the dirt before the half pipe as a little ramp to launch yourself up on top of the very start of the ramp. Needless to say, this is pretty much impossible to do in a real race, which is why I don't go for it in my own run. Now, coming up on the end of the half pipe, I do have enough time to get that 5th boost, but the timing is super tight, and I prefer the more consistent strategy of just staying parallel with the ramp and then tricking at the end to get the 4th boost. After that, trick off the next 2 ramps, landing in a right drift off the 3rd ramp so that you can hit the orange boost pad and build up an Ultra Mini Turbo. The last turn is pretty weird. You want to build up an Ultra Mini Turbo and then left hop into right drift off the last gigantic ramp, since this gives you less airtime and also allows you to get a Super Mini Turbo boost at the end of the lap, which is more powerful than a trick boost. Lap 2 is basically the same as lap 1 except for the beginning. I know I said that you don't want to get a mini turbo trick off the big fireball ramp, but I found that the increased speed I got from the coins made it really hard to mini turbo trick off the little ramp just before it. So I kinda just winged it here, to be honest. That's probably a major part of the reason why I'm almost 7 seconds off the world record on this track. Speaking of the world record, it's pretty similar to my run, except that they mini turbo trick at the very start of the run and do that ridiculous half pipe strategy I mentioned before. After the half pipe, they do this nifty little airtime minimizing strategy where they go around the ramp and bonk the wall, and then for the final turn, they build up one more mini turbo. Like I hinted at earlier, they also continue to not mini turbo trick off the fireball ramp. All of this, coupled with cleaner driving, put them almost 7 seconds ahead of me, which is usually a much bigger gap than I'm willing to tolerate. So let's talk a bit more about why exactly I decided to give up on this one while checking out my full personal best. By the way, if you found the video helpful so far, please don't forget to click that like button so the tutorial can get spread to more people, since this is the best way to help out the channel. Thank you very much for that. I know I say this in every video, but I really do appreciate it. Now, WALUIGI Stadium. When I first started playing the track, I already got kind of a sour taste in my mouth when I saw the half pipe for the first time. And anyone who's watched my DK Summit video can tell you the reason for that. But after spending a lot of time on this track, I have to admit that even though it's not my favorite course in the Wave, I actually do enjoy it quite a bit. Like many of the other courses in Wave 4, WALUIGI Stadium is a really difficult track to get a good time on. However, unlike tracks such as DK Summit and Bangkok Rush, the difficulty doesn't really feel unfair since there's really not anything that's specifically designed to mess you up. Sure, there are a lot of obstacles that require precise execution to nail properly, but they're all doable for the most part with enough practice. One example of this is the mini turbo tricks at the very start, which are difficult to do quickly, but definitely manageable as long as you've got decent soft drifting. Also, speaking of the half pipe, unlike the one on DK Summit, this one is entirely contained on a long straightaway, and it also doesn't have any coins that you need to grab, which makes it way easier to navigate. The one thing that could have passed for intentional jank is that ridiculous hairpin turn towards the end of the track, but like we covered in the tutorial, not only is there a fast and consistent strategy to do it, but the devs were kind enough to give us a boost pad to help us get going again, and it even adds a bit of excitement to the end of the track. Now, like I said before, my personal best is almost 7 seconds off record, which is obviously pretty bad. Usually I try and get within 5 seconds of the record on every track, especially on a course like WALUIGI Stadium where the world record is under 2 minutes. However, the last time I looked at the leaderboards, the 10th place time was also really far off the record, so I decided that rather than force myself to destroy my hands and my sanity trying to perfect my drifting techniques, I'd rather just find some strats that I might actually be able to pull off online and enjoy the course for what it is. And in that regard, this run is probably about as good as I'm going to get, so I'm content to leave this run where it is. And that's everything you need to know to play WALUIGI Stadium on 150cc. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe before you go because I do release a new tutorial every week. Thank you all very much for taking the time out of your day to do some basic training, and as always, I will see you in the next video.